Alright guys, so currently the Noble Audio Focus Rex 5 sits at the top of my favorite sounding pairs of true wireless earbuds, but it also comes in at $450, which a lot of people are not going to spend on true wireless earbuds. So today we're going to check out their new pair of true wireless earbuds, which is the Noble Audio Focus Amadeus, which comes in at $329. So that's $120 less than their Rex 5. But there are definitely some differences in this pair. We're going to see and talk about what those are, see if it's worth the price difference, if it's worth taking a dip a little bit, and see if you're still getting some of the best sound that you can get in any pair of true wireless earbuds. So to start with, let's go ahead and talk about the drivers they're using. This one is using an 8.3 millimeter custom driver. It is using a triple layer diaphragm system, so it is having where still trying to separate the lows, the mids, and the highs, where things are not right on top of each other. We'll talk about this a little bit more once we get to the sound. It is a red theme look. You can see it from the box, you can see it from the case, you can also see it from the earbuds themselves. And the reasoning behind this is, with this being called the Amadeus, Amadeus had a red coat. So they're trying to mimic the look of that with the earbuds and the case itself. And I kind of like the theme here. It's kind of like with the Rex 5 that it had this green theme to it. Now it's definitely different. It always kind of stood out. But the look of the Amadeus is it still looks like a pair of IEMs. It doesn't have like the traditional, true wireless earbud look. So I can say that I am a huge fan of this. Now I will point out that these do stick out a little bit inside of your ears. So it's not one that's really low profile and flush like a lot of other true wireless earbuds. So that might be something you want to keep in mind if you're somebody that cares about that type of thing. The case on these though is a Qi wireless charging case. So you can just drop this on any wireless charger and it'll just start charging that way. You can see 4 lights up front. Now this is what just kind of tells you how much battery life is left on the case. And when you open it up, again, you see the earbuds. Now there is a pairing button right in between those on the case. And again, I'm going to take these out so you can see this here. The earbud is pretty large. It's not huge. I've definitely seen much larger earbuds, but again, this kind of mimics having an IEM, and those generally do kind of stick out quite a bit in your ears. But it's super comfortable. Never had any issue with feeling like I needed to take these out. It's not one that I had to adjust often. These do use touch controls, and I am happy to say that out of the box, you do get control over everything. So, I did have to go into the app though and switch some things around. I didn't like the layout that it had with the touch controls, but it, again, was pretty easy to fix within the app. Now, as far as what all they've included in the box, they do give you this little fabric drawstring pouch. This way you can keep the case inside of here without scratching up the lid and everything on your case. They do give you 6 different sets of ear tips, and it's actually in 2 different styles. And then the only other thing inside the box is the USB-C cable, which, like I said, you don't necessarily have to use this to charge these because you can just drop it on any wireless charger. Now, as far as some of the features and some of the specs that are on these, it does have Bluetooth 5.4. It does have multi-point connection, so you can connect these to more than one device at a time. So it is using the Qualcomm 3091 chip. This is the exact same chip that they use in their Rex 5. This allows you to have LDAC playback, but also aptX adaptive playback. So you're getting some pretty high-end Bluetooth codecs there. It does have active noise canceling, which I'm going to go ahead and say this right now. The noise canceling on these are just man, there's definitely nothing special about the noise canceling. It really is just dulling out lower tones, like just enough so that if you're traveling, the engine noises aren't really going to affect your music as much, but anything else, it kind of just pumps in just like any other true wireless earbud. But the hear through mode that it also has does a really decent job of being able to hear your surroundings, also be able to hear people around you so you can carry on a conversation and not feel that you have to actually take these out. Now, some other things within the app, and this definitely is something that I'm going to talk about a little bit more once we get to the sound, is it does have the personal audio with Audio Do. Again, this is another feature that was in the Rex 5, and this makes a huge difference in how these earbuds sound. There's a huge difference between the way that they're tuned out of the box and then the personalized EQ that it's set up for me. Now, if you want to go in, there's some other EQ options that are already pre-baked in. You can go in and mess around with the 10-band equalizer, and this allows you to have more customization over the sound. But what I found that I like to do is have the personal audio test do its thing and then go into the EQ curve. This allows you to kind of slide if you want it to be heavier on the low end, or if you want it to be brighter with treble, or you could just kind of, pull it up and down yourself right here. And it's just fine tuning the personalized EQ that it sets up. And again, I found that this is where the sweet spot was. But again, we'll talk about that a little bit more once we actually talk about the sound. Now, as far as the battery life on these, again, earlier I said it does take a USB-C cable or Qi wireless charging to charge these. The battery life is actually pretty solid. If you use these with the noise canceling off, you can actually squeeze 12 hours out of the earbuds. But even with the noise canceling on, you still can get 8 hours on a single charge, which is very impressive. And with the charging case, it actually gives you up to 42 hours total. And another huge plus is if you do happen to pick these up and they are dead, they do support fast charging, where a 10-minute charge is going to get you 2 hours of use. Now, if you are going to use these for taking phone calls, it is using the CVC mics. This allows it to kind of block out a lot of your surroundings, and it's doing a pretty good job of just focusing in on your voice. But you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here. So here is a mic test using the Focus Amadeus. I am outdoors. It's not really like a windy day or anything like that. Now, I do hear some birds and, a few things like off at a distance. But this is just to give you an idea of what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public. So now let's talk about the sound. And again, like I said earlier, the first thing I want to point out is the sound out of the box is just not good. To me, it sounded overly warm. It wasn't bass heavy, but it definitely wasn't bright on the treble either. And I don't really think that they're trying to go for a flat EQ response, but it did feel kind of dull to me. But the personalized EQ and then going in and messing around with the EQ curve just absolutely brought these to life. It became a very dynamic earbud, but it never got bloated with the low end. It gave it plenty of punch. There's definitely an aggressive low end if you want it to have that. But it's not one that's going to destroy everything else, because the mids, I can definitely say, whether it be male or female vocalists, had some really good presence. Acoustic instrument sounded nice and clean with a little bit of warmth to it. Again, that just kind of gives it a natural sound. And the treble on these actually got quite bright once I tweaked these, and I like that. I like a very punchy low end as long as it's fast, which these are. I like mids that stand out just enough, and I like a brighter treble to kind of counterbalance that punchy low end, and that was definitely what I was able to get with these. So this is definitely one of those pairs that you can EQ and it just responds to it very well. So I feel like you can get a lot of different sound signatures out of these. Now, when it comes to the sound stage and the sound imaging, this is another area I was very impressed with these. They really do sound nice and open, like you're in a very large room. And it also does a really good job of just being able to tell where different sounds are coming from. So my overall opinion on the Amadeus is, if you are just looking to have like some of the best sound that you can get out of a pair of true wireless earbuds, and maybe the $450 of the Rex 5 just kind of scares you away a little bit, or maybe you're just already looking at the Sony or the Bose or the Sennheisers that's more in that $300 to $350 range, this is going to sound better than any of those, and it's going to stay in that same price range. The only thing I feel like you're sacrificing, and this may be huge to a lot of you guys, is the noise canceling is just not that great in this pair. This is not one that's going to stand up against the Sony or the Bose. But outside of that, you're getting a nice higher end IEM look. You're getting Qi wireless charging in the case. You're getting battery life that's going to last you all day. You're getting that LDAC and also that aptX adaptive playback, so you're getting higher end Bluetooth codecs, and you're getting sound quality that, again, I feel like is only kind of matched with the Bowers & Wilkins PI8s. Maybe the Technics AZ100, and really still the only pair that I would say sounds better than the Amadeus is going to be the Rex 5. So again, Noble Audio is not one of those companies a lot of people are going to know right off the bat. It's not as well known as some of the other ones that I mentioned, but they're definitely doing something right in the way that they're tuning their true wireless earbuds. And like I've said before, if I'm going to spend money on an audio product, audio is like the top priority for me. So the Noble Audio so far has been the best sound that I've heard on any true wireless earbud. They just haven't nailed that noise canceling yet. But guys, that wraps up my video on the brand new Noble Audio Focus Amadeus. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.